Hi, welcome to the Fit and Healthy Today show. As you know, I usually pick my topic by the most customers that walk in the door with the most common ailment. And obviously these last few weeks, it's been the common cold. I'll tell you, Halloween struck and boom, all the candy, all the sugar. Everybody now I'm seeing is sick or has family that's sick and they're trying to stay well. So I had to kind of differentiate for my customers the difference between cold and the flu. And we're seeing primarily mostly colds right now. Now, based upon the germ theory, which standardly means that a virus, you catch a virus and it makes you sick, it's a viral infection of the upper respiratory tract involving the sinuses, the throat, it can be the upper as well in the upper bronchial. There are more than 200 different viruses that we're aware of that cause the common cold. So a vaccine development for such a thing would be next to impossible because they're always changing. The most common time that they strike is between August and April for lasting a duration of between 3 to 10 days. Or in my case, a common cold usually lasts a day or two and it's gone. My body detoxes it and gets it gone. 2 colds a year is usually fairly common for the average person. Any more than that, and it means that you're extremely toxic or you're extremely immune compromised or you're on medications that are making you extremely immune compromised. Now there's a second theory here, which I kind of go along with a little bit more, or maybe the combination thereof. And that is a cold is a detoxifying agent, which is a cure of dis-ease, D-I-S, ease in the body. That basically means that the body is out of balance. And what the cold or viruses do is they seek to get the body back in balance by detoxifying the body. I think what happens is basically what we're seeing and what I see is when a person is out of balance, they don't get enough sleep, they're eating a lot of sugar or whatever. What happens is this virus comes in and it tries to get the person to get back on track and back in balance. So if we look at it more that way than saying, oh my God, I'm around a bunch of sick people, I'm going to get sick, that's not the case. I have between 80 and 110 customers come in a day, and I don't catch their viruses, and they come in with everything. Number one, because my immune system's good. I eat right. I could use a little more sleep. But as a general rule, I'm pretty in balance and fairly healthy, and so it kind of passes by me and it's gone in a day or two, and I build my immune system and I have the antibodies, and give me a hug and a kiss because I'll pass them on to you. When we're talking about the symptoms of a cold, remember they're not the same as a flu. Usually with flu you get a lot of body aches, you can get diarrhea, vomiting, fever. Those are typical of a flu. With a cold, you just kind of feel this kind of a little bit achy. It's relatively mild. You get a little bit of stuffy nose, maybe a little bit of sore throat. You'll cough a little bit. Your nose will run. You'll be blowing the nose. You're a little bit tired. Mainly the body is trying to get everything, and that's why your nose is blowing, you're coughing stuff up, because you're detoxifying. You're getting rid of stuff in order to bring your body back into balance. Now, when we're talking about the causes, I mentioned a few of them at the start of the show, and this is probably the most common ones that I see when I talk to people and I figure out why they got the cold. Improper diet, including mucus increasing or mucus-inducing foods such as milk products. Those types are foods that you tend to have an allergy for that you may not know or that you crave. Excessive amount of sugar. 1 teaspoon suppresses the immune system for 4 to 6 hours. So if you're down in that soda or the big old huge big gulp soda, oh boy, your immune system, no matter what, you're going to be out of balance and you're going to be susceptible to getting colds and other viruses. Acid-forming foods, which would be sugar, white flour, pasta, starches, junk food, excessive amounts of animal fats. When people are sitting there eating their tasty burger and steaks on a daily basis, these animal fats cause you to be inflamed, and actually they really make the liver very, very sluggish. And remember, your liver is your main detoxifying agent. So guess what? If it's sluggish, Everything's sluggish. The liver performs 500 different functions, more than that, in the body. So when it's sluggish, nothing is going to be in balance. Your hormones, your blood sugars, all those things can go out of whack. Toxicity or poor elimination or chemical exposure, and that includes medications. So, for example, if you're eating a lot of chemical pesticide products, apples and broccoli, and a lot of people say, I eat real good, I don't understand why I'm getting sick, but their food is full of chemicals. And they're eating those top dirty dozen ones that the government tells us to eat organic, and they're eating it because it's cheap. And it's simple, and they don't have to specially look for their food or good quality food. Poor elimination, constipation. If you can't eliminate your toxins or get everything moving out of the bowel, because remember, bowel movements are a way that the body gets rid of toxins, excessive hormones, and if you don't have at least 2 bowel movements a day, I know most people say, I have a good bowel movement every day. No, it's supposed to be between 2 and 3 is what's normal. So if you're having 1 bowel movement a day, you're not eliminating properly. That'll hold on to toxins. Reduced nerve, blood, and lymph supply. You're not moving. You're sitting, watching the TV, eating the chips, down in the beer, or you have a job in which you're sitting down and then you don't exercise or move. And there was a new study actually that came out last week that basically said you've got to get up every hour, you've got to move 5 or 10 minutes. You just cannot stay in one seated position and expect that the body will be or stay in good shape. So the lymph is what moves, helps clean out your, your blood, your white blood cells. When you fight off something, it dumps it into the lymph and you get rid of it through motion and movement. And obviously, if you're not moving, you can't detox. Lack of good bacteria or yeast overgrowth, caused by an excessive sugar diet and perhaps maybe the usage of antibiotics or steroidals for allergies. Those all reduce the good bacteria in the bowel. And remember, most of the studies are supporting anywhere from 70 to 80% of your immune system is all right here. This is kind of your second brain. And so if you're having, not eliminating well, you don't have good bacteria to help your immune system, oh boy, good luck, you're going to be ill. You're going to have chronic bladder infections, viral infections, autoimmune disorders, and the increased risk of colon cancers. So it's real important to increase those good bacteria and able to enable your immune system to fight off the common cold and other viruses. Medications, drugs, and alcohol consumption. Man, remember, alcohol is pure sugar. So I know I've been hearing a lot of these reports, drink your glass of wine a day, this and that. I can't tell you the number of studies that I ran into that said, don't do that. We have great resveratrol and all that wonderful stuff found in wine, but it's full of sugar. So you can take a supplement with resveratrol, grapeseed extract, that'll elongate your life, help your vascular system. But alcohol, honest to goodness, 1 drink takes 24 to 48 hours for your liver to clear and get rid of the toxic effects that it did. Please don't drink, especially if you're fighting a cold or you're going to be around a bunch of sick people. And oftentimes during the holidays, I'll be doggone, we're down in more stuff, more alcohol, more sugar, more cakes and cookies, and we just watch our immune system dive and then we wonder why we're sick. That's the reason why. When you get a cold, man, I know they say feed a cold, starve a fever, but actually you really want to be light on your calorie intake when you've got a cold. Let's put it this way, you want to eat easily digested foods. So a lot of good homemade soups, broths, maybe you've got a juicer or something that can mix up the vegetables, down that. If you want to speed up your body's ability to get rid of this cold, man, this is what I do. I make things very clean. I don't eat any meat. I'll do my nice little vegetable smoothies, add a few blueberries and spinach and broccoli and all that wonderful stuff. And I give my body a chance to detox. I drink more water. I add a little bit of lemon into my water to alkali my blood, to help my liver better process. I'll drink some teas. some dandelion, or particularly I like green tea, to get things moving a little bit better and get the liver going and help my immune system bolster so that I can help my body quicker detox to bring my body back into balance. So clean up your diet. Whenever I have my customers come in, I said, go home, make your homemade chicken vegetable soup, and then I usually review through with them when they ask me, or they'll come in and ask for these things. These are things that can treat a common cold. And actually, for a lot of people, common colds oftentimes, because their immune systems are so suppressed, will head for their lungs or head for their ears, or they'll get chronic sinus infections. And this is a great way, besides getting that diet cleaned up, these are some suggestions that have good clinical studies on them. Elderberry extract, also known as sambucol, that's a trademark form, and it helps weaken the virus and allows your immune system to engage in a quicker fashion. I know my customers were coming in actually with the swine flu. They do this elderberry extract. 2 or 3 days they were well again. So when they were consistent with it. One of the most top antiviral supplements in Europe utilized, and it's from the elderberry. It's a berry. It just, bottom line, helps you engage your immune, helps you fight off. I don't normally mention specific brands of things, but in this particular case, this one was ranked #1 by all naturopathic doctors, and it's called the Wellness Formula, and it's by Source Naturals. And it has herbs and vitamins and extra C and all kinds of little things in there in a mixture that can help build the immune system, and yet it also has antimicrobials to help you kill off the viruses, actually, since there's over 200 that cause common colds. Doing something like that to get your immune engaged, along with the diet changes, can get that cold gone and get you detoxified quick. Zinc, I think Ralph mentioned a story a few weeks ago about how effective zinc was at ridding the body of common viruses in a good dosage, which is going to be at least 30 milligrams 4 times a day. And you can do zinc lozenges, and there are even combinations of elderberry zinc together that can help the body engage the immune. Aster C. Buffered C is antihistamine. It can help with some of the runny nose, the itchy. It detoxifies and aids the immune response. Bump up your C. I have some customers that tell me that they do 1,000 milligrams every 2 hours. Their cold is gone by the end of the day. Vitamin A. Now, I know we get a lot of panic about whenever we talk about vitamin A, it's toxic and all. You have to do really high dosages for long periods of time. But vitamin A truly, truly does engage your immune system. And basically, in order to eliminate mucus and sustain healthy mucous membranes, you have to have adequate amounts of vitamin A. I've written some dosages on here based on studies that were in the American Medical journals. Garlic, it's a natural antibiotic, antimicrobial, I should say. It's also known as the Russian antibiotic. It's an immune system enhancer, and it's an antimicrobial. Grapefruit seed extract, oregano oil, these are antimicrobials. They kill the viruses. They aid and abet your immune system to get rid of these and detox these. Probiotics, and I think besides doing the C and a good multivitamin and all, these good bacteria, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And if you can take those on a daily basis and keep those good bacteria up, it's really going to aid and abet your prevention of getting a lot of different diseases, but particularly the common cold. Another product I'll mention here, lozenges. Whenever my kids do this or my husband does this, it opens the nasal passages of everybody in the car because it uses menthol, like eucalyptus formula. But it's really soothing on the back of the throat. And it's actually, by itself, eucalyptus menthol-based products are antimicrobial by themselves. I literally have people that will put them on a hanky when they go and fly in an airplane, and they're sitting there keeping it close to them because literally whatever they inhale, it will kill off the back viruses. Raw honey, and this works really good on coughs and to soothe a sore throat. So just a half a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, and I'm not talking about the grocery store stuff that's been heated. I'm talking about a nice raw honey. Manuka honey is even better, kind of expensive, but that raw honey on the back of the throat oxygenates and it will help you heal. Now, this is an old treatment that's been around for a very, very long time. And even my grandmother used to have or do this. We would get in a hot bath with Epsom salts, and as hot as we pretty much could stand it. Now, mind you, we don't want to run too low electrolytes, or if you're on diuretics, we have to be mindful of about you losing your minerals. But you get in a nice hot bath with Epsom salts, and you sweat. You get out of the tub, get under the covers, and hopefully you can sweat a little bit more. Remember, your skin is your major detoxifying organ, and when you sweat, oftentimes, as long as you don't get a chill, you can detox out these viruses or detox out your body so you can engage your immune system, get these viruses gone a little bit quicker. I hope that helps that. It's a lot of information in a nutshell. Next, we're going to be moving on to the fitness portion of our show. Thank you. Hi, welcome to the fitness portion of our show. And today I'm going to show you 2 stretches that you can use to help warm up the body before you go out and mow the lawn or play golf, or something that's not too strenuous of an exercise, but enough to where if you twist or turn, you could increase the risk of injury. The first exercise is you're going to want to find a chair or a table that's about the same height as your hip. And what you're going to do is you're going to bend over, and you're going to make sure that your hips remain over your feet, with your feet being about hip width apart. And you're going to put your head between your arms, and you're going to just kind of feel a really good stretch all throughout the arms, shoulder, back, butt, hamstrings, all the way down to the back of your calves. This exercise pretty much takes care of about 90% of the muscles. Next exercise I absolutely love is called the cat dog. And what we do is we get on the floor, and obviously you want to be in a position to where your knees are obviously in a padded position. And you're going to get on, and you're going to do, and you don't even have to remember the names, you're going to arch your back up and kind of stretch and rock back and forth. And you can't even go down what is called child pose and back. And then arch the back, looking up and pulling your neck back as much as you possibly can. And what this exercise does is it stretches the spinal erectors. And so when you go out and do your yard work, hopefully you'll have just a better stretch. Next, we're going to be moving on to the research portion of our show. Thank you. Welcome to the research portion of our show, and with us today is Ralph Turchiano.
Thank you for the intro. The first trivia question basically is how many medical journal articles or research articles either have an honorary or ghost author on it? Honorary being someone that did not contribute to the research, but they put their research name on it, kind of like having Stephen Hawkins as your lab partner at high school to get a better grade. Or ghost author being basically, let's say Pfizer or Bristol Myers Squibb did a study on its own drug, but didn't want the study to look like it was inappropriate, so they took the author's name off. So how many, what percentage in a survey of these articles in a medical journal had either ghost authors or honorary authors on it? Something to think about. All right. The first article I want to lead off with, I left off with last time. It was an article entitled Big Tobacco, New Radioactive Particles in Cigarettes Pose Cancer Risk But Kept Quiet. This was done by UCLA researchers and did not even make a blip on the news. Now you think radiation and tobacco. You normally don't make the connection. Why? Because you were never told about it. You were told cigarettes were unhealthy because of tar. Cigarettes were unhealthy because of nicotine. Cigarettes are unhealthy because of a ton of other reasons. But you never once think radiation. Well, Dr. Siever Cooper in 1992 said that tobacco was the #1 source of radiation exposure in the United States. A lot of you are concerned about nuclear reactors in Japan, not realizing that you're irradiating yourself in more ways than you ever imagined. The radioactive element in cigarettes that you never heard of is polonium-210. Go research that on your EPA website for the government. You'll know exactly what it is. Now, here's the problem. All right. Tobacco companies knew that cigarette smoke contained radioactive alpha particles for more than 4 decades and developed a deep and intimate knowledge of these particles' cancer-causing potential. But they deliberately kept their findings from the public, according to the UCLA researchers. These things were making you sick, and they never wanted to let you know. They told you everything else, but it's actually the reason why your family and friends were dying. It goes on to say, further, the industry was not only cognizant of the potential cancerous growth in the lungs of regular smokers, but also did quantitative radiobiological calculations to estimate the long-term radiation absorption dose of ionizing alpha particles emitted from cigarette smoke. This was printed in September 27th, Nicotine and Tobacco Research, meaning they wanted to know exactly how damaging it was and how many people it was actually killing. They knew for over 4 decades. And it goes on to say, they knew that cigarette smoke was radioactive way back then. It could potentially result in cancer. They deliberately kept the information under wraps. The industry used misleading statements to obfuscate the hazard of ionizing alpha particles to lungs of smokers, and more importantly, banned any and all publication of tobacco smoke radioactivity, meaning they kept on throwing mixed signals to why cigarettes were killing people. Now you might ask, well, if tobacco is harmful and cigarettes are killing people, I can understand kind of playing a little bit of a role. But what if I told you the reason people were dying was totally preventable, and it's not by stopping smoking? All right, it goes on. All right. In 1965, this isotope polonium-210 was identified. It can be found in all commercial, available domestic and foreign cigarette brands. What it is basically is the radiation is absorbed by tobacco leaves through naturally occurring radon gas, which comes from the ground, in the atmosphere and through the high phosphate chemical fertilizers used by tobacco growers. The substance is even inhaled by smokers into the lungs, meaning radon plus phosphate fertilizers ended up in polonium-210, which is highly radioactive and has about a half-life when lead-210 about 22 years. All right, what it does, just in case you're curious, it forms hot spots in the lungs, which means when a person looks at your lungs, they see these little areas generating heat, which is usually where all the alpha particle radiation is resting, which ironically in the United States, we treat lung cancer with radiation to top it all off. No wonder it's so freaking poorly effective. All right, but then again, if your doctor doesn't know what's killing you, how's he supposed to treat it? All right, but this is what they found out. They permitted us to duplicate the industry's secretly estimated radiation absorbed. This is the amount of radiation they found out you absorb while you're smoking by regular smokers over a 20 to 25 year period, which equaled about 40 to 50 rads. The level of rads, according to EPA's estimate of lung cancer risk in residents exposed to radon gas, equals about 100 to 138 deaths per 1,000 smokers over a 25-year period of time. So about, estimate, you're looking at it right there, 13.8% of the people died needlessly. Why would you say needlessly? Well, you say, well, they're smokers and they can't stop. Obviously, it's a risk of smoking. Oh, yeah. Well, let's keep on reading on. Well, it turned out the tobacco industry knew a way to get rid of polonium-210. And this is where it gets really good. All right. What happened was they declined to adopt a technique discovered in 1959, and then developed again and further developed again, or I should say modified and enhanced in 1980, that could eliminate the polonium-210 from tobacco. The 1980 technique, known as acid wash, was found to be highly effective in removing the radioisotope from tobacco plants, where it forms water-insoluble complex with the sticky hair-like structures called trichomes that cover the leaves. All right, so now they know back in 1980 they can easily get this polonium-210 off the tobacco leaves. So why not do it? I mean, obviously you save lives and you will have less lawsuits and possibly make the world a lot happier place. Well, why not? Because of this reason. The industry was concerned that the acid media would ionize, and the acid media meaning what they used to wash the tobacco of the polonium-210, would ionize the nicotine, making it more difficult to be absorbed into the brains of smokers and depriving them of that instant nicotine rush that fuels their addiction. Think about that. They could have stopped decades of misery and people that died torturously just by simply washing the tobacco the way it was developed in 1980. But they declined to do it anyways, and they knew fully about it. Why? Because to make a few extra bucks off of the death of your friends and relatives, regardless of the suffering they inflict. This didn't even make the news. You don't find it on the doctor show, you don't find it on Dr. Oz, you don't find it any place. UCLA researchers put their careers on the lines coming out with information like this, and it falls on flat, deaf ears. On your doctors, the researchers, everything else, no one listens. Yet this research is out there. And you even go to the government's own website on the EPA. It'll tell you about the radiation in cigarettes, but none of us know about it because we've been propagandized to be total idiots in regards to this. Thousands of lives can be saved just by a simple manufacturing trick, and you're not even touching it. Well, I'm running kind of short of times, but I'll keep on going. I'll get at least one more article out here. Chantrax. Chantrax is what a lot of people use to quit smoking. It's ironic it finishes that one. The poor safety profile of a smoking cessation drug called varenicline, Chantrax, makes it unsuitable for first-line use. Why? The researchers found that 90% of all reported suicides related to smoking cessation drugs since 1998 implicated Chantrax, even though it was on the market for only 4 years during the 13-year period of the study. They found out the FDA records were flawed in regards to this, which basically skewed the data and allowed the FDA to approve it when it should have never been approved at all. They said not only was Chantrax responsible for 90% of all suicides, while suicidal behavior or depression appear to be prominent side effects of Chantrax, they are by no means the only safety issue. Vaccine or Chantrax has been associated with aggression and violence in 3 studies and carries a warning about this behavior. Its effects in vision, cognition, and motor control and other risks have led it to being banned for airline pilots, air traffic controllers, military pilots, missile crews, and other restricted truck drivers. But it's okay for you, the public. So basically, this stuff is almost more likely to kill you than the smoking will. It's called risk-to-benefit ratio. And that's what it came down. They also found out that this is also associated with serious cardiovascular effects. I only got 2 articles today. The curiosity question is basically 1 in 5 medical journals is corrupted by honorary ghost authorship. Well, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much for joining our show. Do your research. Have a good night.